We have Maulashri Hasmi with us talking on street theatre, Safdar Hashmi and Jananaट्य Manch. Maulashri, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us.
My pleasure.
Let us begin by talking about your association with Jananaट्य Manch, your coming to street theatre and your association with Safdar Hashmi and then on.
Well, you see, actually, before Jananaट्य Manch was formally formed, that was in the year 70, 71, 72, thereabouts, there were a bunch of theatre, I would say, art enthusiasts. They were largely young people, often many of them students, and this was actually an initiative that the left-wing students organization SFI had done to initiate the revival of IPTA. And I think that the true history of Janam begins there, even if it's prehistory. That we were wanting to do something, and that was the time when a lot of young people and not so young people, creative people, were responding to the world around them. And there were young, not just people who were actor aspirants, but also people who wrote plays, poets, writers. So those were the people who were coming together, and the revival of the IPTA, or rather I wouldn't say revival, actually it was just lying defunct. And a bunch of these young students, they just got in touch with the people who were there earlier in the Delhi chapter of the IPTA and kind of revived it. And it suddenly became a place where lots of young people went and created something. So in those days we were also doing things like, for example, singing for Vietnam in the marketplaces in Delhi. So we would go around singing songs, occasionally collecting money, but certainly a small leaflet or something. So what was interesting was that sort of a thing had never happened in Delhi before, where they found that a bunch of young people who were singing, and were singing not about, they were singing about the oppression of another country. And that country's people and our people were same. This famous thing, Amar Naam Tumhar Naam, Vietnam, that's the spirit that we took it. And that was very interesting because somewhere I think it also formed the, politicization is a very strong word, but certainly an orientation, a social orientation of all the young people who were there at that time. I think it did give us that sort of an orientation. We've also made some plays. A lot of them, most of them actually were old Ikta plays translated into Hindi. Old Ikta Bangla plays translated into Hindi. And then by the time Jananaट्य Manch was formed for one reason or the other, which we will go into later on, 1973 Jananaट्य Manch was in fact, Jananaट्य Manch is actually People's Theatre Forum, which is actually another way of saying Indian People's Theatre Association. We think that we are the torchbearers of certainly one of the streams of IPTA. And we take that very seriously, and we're very proud of that fact. So in fact now, after many years, the kind of logo that we use, which Arijit and the designer designed was us, is taken from that People's Theatre Stars the People. That slogan, which was an IPTA slogan, and of course he's designed it differently. So that's how we feel that that's the stream that we belong to. Jananaट्य Manch, so I was there even before. When actually Jananaट्य Manch was formed, there was some years I wasn't in Delhi and I was doing other sorts of things, but I knew exactly what was happening. So when after the emergency, when new plays were being made, at that time I was part of Jananaट्य Manch, not necessarily acting full time but helping backstage. My actual very active involvement in Janam happened really from 1977, when we were actually in the process of making plays, and then in 78 doing street plays, and since then I have been there in all productions in some capacity or the other. Often acting, but sometimes doing other things also. So that has been my association, and I find it now hard to answer the question why am I here, because I'm just here. It's just there, it's very hard to say why I'm here. It would sound very, I think it would sound very patronizing if I say, it is for very deep, of course it is for political reasons also, but it is not something that I constantly feel that I have to be there. I am there because, I am there, it's part of my life now, as simple as that. So I can't think otherwise.
So now, with regard to Janam, one is always one always links Janam with street theatre or the form of street theatre. Would you kindly elucidate as to what street theatre encompasses, specifically in India?
Well, I guess the street theatre movement or the whole thing began with the IPT again. Even though Panupal is reputed to have written the first play, but even before that, that was 52, no?
Chachi, yes.
Chachi. But even before that, in the mid-40s, after the IPT, I remember Zora Appa mentioned that they had, it was like an impromptu thing, not hugely rehearsed,
Right.
but planned.
Right.
So it wasn't entirely go there and suddenly do something. Certain amount of rehearsal,
Yes.
short things that they were doing. And I remember she mentioned the dowry thing also. That was one thing. In the same way, in Kerala it's been happening, Andhra Pradesh it's been there, Tamil Nadu, many parts of MP, Punjab. So it's not as if that, some form or the other. It's very hard to give a, street theatre actually is very interesting in many ways when I look at it now. That it's not simply one, we call it one genre, but there are many different aspects to it. And I think different people do that particular genre very, very differently, like in proscenium theatre. So while there was that background in the 40s and in Bengal certainly through the 50s and Utpal Dutt and everybody else, but in North India it wasn't really particularly popular. It was only in, 78 that the whole thing happened. In Jannattamanch, the way it happened, it was that we used to do theatre in places where people lived and worked. So it was theatre to the people, it wasn't just performing in also. So these were big plays. They were either songs and things like that, or they were big plays, or they were what was called one-act plays, but they weren't really one-act, but they were shorter plays. For example, for an hour long maybe, or maybe even 40 minutes. So sometimes we did short plays or breaks short plays. So Exception and the Rule, Kanun Ki Aaka, which was translated by Saeed Bhai. He was that particular version was done by us. I know that. This was in the Ikta days and subsequently the Janam days also. But those were shorter plays. Jannattamanch, when it was formally formed, then it did big plays like musicals. So there was Bharat Bhagya Vidhata, Bakri, which were like 2.5 hour long actual musicals where music was a very important element. And Kavita Nagpal directed it, and Vinod Ji was a wonderful singer, and this bunch of youngsters were doing things. So all that was there. But after the emergency, the kind of attack and repression that had come on the host organizations, people who basically called us to various places, they were not in a position to in any way think of art and culture at that time, even though they admired the work that we did, because either they were fighting cases to free the leaders, to free the people, or there were some of them still in jail, some organization had been completely in shambles, so they needed to regroup and all. And that's when, we did two big plays after the emergency. Both the plays were actually, not related to the emergency. One of them was Jab Firangi Lauta. That was not directly to the emergency, but it was a new kind of it was a new kind of colonialism that was being talked about. And the other one was Ebar Rajarpala, Ab Raja Ki Bari Hai, which was, as it happened, a comment on emergency, though Utpal Dutt had written it before that, But whatever. Now those shows, they were, if there were a dozen, I'd be lying. I think there were not even 8, from what I remember, maybe 9. We did 2 or 3 shows in the hall, in some auditorium. One I did in Triveni, the one that we did 3 shows of Ebar Raja Ki Bari, which was really good. Space was full and all. But there weren't very many shows that were possible after that. As a result, we didn't know what to do. And once you don't have a play, then a lot of people also drift away. So in one of these smaller meetings that was there, I remember that Sabdar said that, if we can't take big theatre to the people, we take small theatre to the people, and that's how the whole thing, the journey of small theatre. We didn't know what it was. We looked at many plays, and I remember when we read them, we thought, how can we do this? How can we do this? We are just 7, 8 of us. So we need to do something else. And that's when one of our CI2 comrades talked about a particular incident that had happened in 1976, an attack on a factory called Harrick, which is very close to Delhi, and how on the issue of a place to park the bicycles and a place to heat their food, actually make tea, there was protracted struggle ending in a strike and then firing, people dying all over. These two complete non-issues at one sense, that you just do it normally. Now, so that's what was shocking. So the play that came about in that, which was written by Rakesh Sharma there and Safdar, and of course then on the floor it underwent some changes. It was really a very tight play of six people doing it, and it's a play, when I look at it later on, is really a play on capitalism. So there is no story line that way, and very beautiful poetic verse and all, and many people have written about it. And the second show of that play, the first show was at a Progressive Writers Forum, which was of course very well received, but the second show, which was in front of about 7,000 odd trade union leaders across the board, across the country, at the Indore Talkatoora Stadium, that was the show which made us realize that, oh, we are doing something which we are not even aware of, the importance of which suddenly hit us. We weren't sure what it was, but this is something significant. And the audiences also realized that, okay, this is what is, I mean, this is nothing but art, and it's nothing but politics. So it's both. That's what it is. And it was just amazing. So while it's true that in Delhi, a few months before that, M.K. Raina had also been doing, I think he was doing Julus, Badal Das, and I think he did another play after that. But that he was doing Badal Sarkar plays, right? That's what he was doing. And of course, that he performed again in many areas. So what came first is unimportant, but 78 suddenly becomes an important phase, a year it becomes. And after that, we realized that we better, go hammer and tongs at it, and which is why we had plays like this coming one after the other. And in the next 6 months, we had virtually 6 plays, and all of them very powerful. One of the most powerful being Aurat, which we continued to perform for many years until recently, and even today I know many groups perform it. So it's something that's how the whole thing started. One of the things that we realized very early on, and I'm saying this now and it sounds a little pedantic, we never talked about it quite like that. But this was a feeling that all of us, not just Safdar, all of us in Janam felt that, it was important to try out something new. It was important to be good at what you were doing. So, if you sang, you'd better sing in tune. And if you were acting, it has to be, of a certain quality. The fact that we are going and performing virtually where people actually lived. I mean, our bigger plays at least were on a slightly elevated stage. We are right there. We have to be so powerful that that's what is going to, grip the audience and watch the play and comment upon it, and that it has to be a complete experience of the mind as well as of the thought, of an artistic experience and of a thinking experience and everything. So all these are words that I'm saying now, but we did feel strongly about it. One of the things that we couldn't do in the earlier years, though we often talked about it, was how to equip ourselves continuously. It's all very well to do the odd bit of, breathing exercise from here and there. We would do that with each other. But that really wasn't enough, because we did need that kind of one of the earliest workshops that we did was with somebody who came and worked with us, I think a few years later, 3-4 years later, 82 I think. She was a dancer, a modern dancer from some other, not just another group, she had learned dancing I think out somewhere else in the West, I'm not sure where. And we were working on this play, which was later called Police Charitram. It was actually about custodial rape, because this was the time when on the Mathura case that had happened nearly 7-8 years or 10 years before that, a lot of women's organizations had moved together, and there was this loose forum that was there, and we were part of it also performing. And in that, there were 2 or 3 other people who joined in who were not really from Janam, who came in only for that production, which was great. So she was one of them, and Pramila, her name. And she did a kind of a creative movement workshop with us, which was actually very good, because we had never done something quite like that. And then on and off, we would keep doing things, but really on and off. It was really much later that we, worked on it more regularly, and then again it sort of declined, because it's all to do with time, frankly, at the end of the day. Not simply intention, but also time.
Now that you have talked about Machine all this while without naming the play, after Machine, the phenomenal work happens to be Aurat, from what I understand. And
actually, DTC Ki Dhandli was
DTC.
not, it was quite an experience, because I remember Friday, we were going to rehearsals, Safdar and I, and by mistake I gave that man extra money, the conductor, the bus conductor. And he said, don't worry, from Monday you'll have to give me this much. Meaning, something like that, some conversation over that. So I wondered, I thought he was just making conversation with me. So we laughed over it and sat down. And sure enough, on Sunday morning, announcement came. And that's because, all offices were closed, and this was going to impact essentially a lot of, and at that time, bulk of the people who travelled in buses, the huge numbers were from the government offices and related offices. Of course, private companies also did, but they were really bulk. So, when it came up, there was nothing. So that's when, we realized we better have a play ready. And so on Sunday afternoon, Safdar was working from his office, and he called everybody, whoever had phones, and otherwise sent people. And we met, and something was written, and it was really it was not quite a big, long, drawn out performance, short, not even 15 minutes, but it captured the spirit. So it began with somebody standing with a pole and the logo of the DTC with 2 arrows going, standing there and just looking at the watch there. That was enough. Everybody who was in the audience, 100% related with us. They knew exactly what we were doing. Doesn't matter we were actors. They were there with us. So we did performances of that play, which was called DTC Ki Dhandli. In 1 week, I think we did 40 odd shows. And there was some impossible number, because what we did was, the first show we did at Shivaji Stadium, I remember, and we have a couple of photographs of that. And then we moved in from bus stop to bus stop. And there were some people who moved with us. There was one policeman who moved with us, not in all the shows, but in a few shows. And initially we thought he was just following us, because it was his duty. Later we realized, he said, no, I also travel by bus, and so does my daughter. And she goes to college, you see. So I have to understand what this is all about. And because at the end of it, the play that the call that we were giving was that board the bus and pay the old price. Because that was the call that had, by then, many people kind of spontaneously, not even formal unions, but groups of people, they had done that. And in fact, a lot of people in the Krishi Bhavan area, since that's where, hundreds of people sort of came out of buses in the morning, all the government offices were there. Those days, most people traveled by buses. There were, nobody paid very often people didn't even pay the old price, but most people paid the old rate and did not. So they were, the conductors didn't think it was worth fighting, because there was no point in fighting, and there's so many people. So there was these usual, police also entered the Krishi Bhavan offices, I remember. We weren't there actually at that point in time, but we were performing all around. And so I think that was one of those, it was a very wonderful, and it was an experience, one of its kind, really.
Now, coming from, as I asked you, that with Janam we immediately relate to street theatre. In order to understand what street theatre is, the question is that, does street theatre really cater to a particular class of people? Because it is one, out in the street, or many classes of people, so to say, not a particular class who can buy tickets and go and watch it in a closed auditorium, but people who are moving around and people who could pause and look at the theatre. So, do you think that it serves to this particular class, one? And second, after practicing this form of theatre for so many years, how do you think people today receive this form?
I think that any good art, any art worth its salt, does not cater to any one group of people. That is one thing I personally feel very strongly about. You know, I think any good art does outlive its time. You might think that, okay, it's not particularly of relevance to me now, but as a piece of work, it's something that I will look at it with significance. And that's what I think. And I think theatre in particular cuts across, I mean, anybody who views it, anybody,
Right.
whether you pay a ticket or not.
Right.
I take a big fancy 500 worth ticket play and do it free in an auditorium. A different group of people will come, those who can't afford to buy that. So it will still be enjoyed. You know, I have seen Habib Tanveer's play being enjoyed by people in the villages, where of course it was hugely enjoyed also, and in small towns, in festivals, or in places where people paid 1,000 rupees a seat, and where people didn't pay anything, but all kinds of people. So I think good theatre and good art is something that somewhere strikes a chord with anybody who views it, hears it, reads it, listens to it, whatever. You know, and this I'm talking about all art. So, and I think that is something that is what drove us. That, okay, street theatre, the purpose of course is that it takes theatre to the people, because yes, most people especially in a place like Delhi and in any big city, do not have the wherewithal to go to a hall to buy tickets, and not even if the tickets are cheap. Because it's not simply the price of tickets, but you know, the working hours, the accessibility, the distance. Even today, I mean today in 21st century in Delhi, somebody who lives in Dwarka may be earning a lakh a year if they are a senior enough Delhi University head of the department kind of person. Would that person go, which is on the metro route, to Mandi House and watch a walk? No. May not. So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, there are accessibilities of various kinds. There are accessibilities that even if you want to, you can't go. There are accessibilities that you don't want to go. Therefore, you have to acquaint yourself with it, develop something. There are accessibilities because, okay, once upon a time it used to be something important, but today in this hustle and bustle it isn't. So there are many things. Our theatre, or theatre like this, street theatre, I think not only went to places where people lived and worked, and therefore the accessibility question was never an issue, but also that it talked about issues which were very deeply connected with the lives of ordinary people. I'm hesitating to use the word class because that's a technical economic concept, but I would say working people. That's what I would say. Ordinary people who had to, you know, struggle to earn a job and live and do anything. So middle classes also enjoy it, and lower middle classes also enjoy our place, working classes, yes. That's, but in this I'd like to share experience.
Sure.
We were doing a play called Samrat Konhi Dosh Gosai, which is a play on price rise. And it is also linked to the fact that the shopkeeper, who is the Lala, who is selling grain, he's saying, I don't have grain, and so there is the metaphor of the grain being hidden by him and things like that, right? There's a wonderful song of the Bora, which is a sack of grain. All that is there. So we are talking about the grain being there, and that it should be sold at a decent enough price, and that, you know, people are not, the minister is playing false, and the big hoarders are of course against them. That's all. Right. Now we were doing this play, as I think the DYFI, the Democratic Youth Federation of India, had called us, in a place which was like it was among the most poorest shanty towns that I have ever seen in India, which used to be on the banks of the river Yamuna, and they were, to say that they were beggars would be wrong, because many of them were working people, but many of them had no jobs, so they would actually go to shops, and where you know, when people clean the rice and the thing, what they throw,
Excess.
what they threw away because it was not clean enough, they would pick that up, clean it and eat them. Now, when we did the play, it's a very interesting play, and as the storyline and the acting and the songs, it's very interesting to watch. So all that they were watching, but there was this unusual quietness, which somewhere we noticed. There was appreciation, but there was quietness, and there was clapping, and everybody came in. We realized that this doesn't affect them. We are talking of, price. They don't even have the money to buy it. So what I'm saying is that, was it relevant to them at one level?
Right.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So that also sometimes does happen. And suddenly it makes you feel that, okay, we are thinking of people who can still afford to buy, even if it is, at 50 paisa a kilo, but even that is not there. This was way back in the early 80s. So, that sometimes that it's a shock that you realize that, where are you going? Are you addressing everything? But then, not every play can address everything. But certainly the heroes and the heroines, the male heroes and the female heroes are always working people who are often not perfect people, thank heavens. In fact, they are rarely perfect people. They are not.
Yes.
So they say and do things which are sometimes ordinary people say and do, and then through the play somewhere they figure out that, okay, maybe this is not the best thing, maybe this is. So there is no change of heart, but there's a new thought, and that's an important thing that where that kind of a storyline is there. Sometimes those storylines are not often there, but whatever. So that's how it's sort of.
Yes.
I've now lost track of what
No,
I said.
the question was that after so many years, how do you think the reception? This is a kind of experience that you shared with us is a part of the reception
Absolutely.
of the street
Absolutely.
theatre. And whatever you're doing very recent, if you could talk about that
Yes.
today.
Yeah. You see, to begin with, that people are always they receive the play very well. Meaning that even people who've never seen the play, and even today, every time we go to a place, I realize that 90% of the audiences have never seen any play in their lives. So people listen to the play if it is well acted and it's interesting enough, and which usually our plays are. People watch it. They may have a different point of view, which is great, because then there's a discussion after that, and that's where the thing stands. But the interest with which people watch while performing, I get a sense that, okay, we are connecting. So that's the sort of feedback comes there. And this is while performing, a performer gets this sense that connection is there. One of the things that has never happened is that somebody has not actually come and misbehaved with any of us. What does happen is that if there's a local big daddy, he would sort of at a very inopportune moment laugh. Suddenly the whole audience would turn around and say shh, or glare at him. And then depending on what the play is, and sometimes there is occasion for some actor to respond to that person, which could only be a look. That's something that again over the years we've developed. Not everybody can do it, because not everybody is alert to it. But if you're alert to it, then you have the confidence to do it. But okay, that's nothing. There's no line change. It's just a look. That's all. And it doesn't have to be a scolding look. It's just a special look that you're in the audience. So you were laughing, but now you're part of us. That sort of a thing. So that continues to happen. That sort of a thing. Sometimes, I've seen people purposely push a dog inside the acting area. That's naughtiness. That doesn't really matter. People ignore those things and they get down onto the play. I have also seen more than once that this has happened, and I don't know why we do it there. There is a particular tri-junction in a place near Ashok Vihar industrial area, where at a certain point of time in the evening, the buffaloes pass by. Now, of course, it doesn't happen because all the cattle sheds have been pushed away outside the city. What made us perform it at that time? So every time we would go there, we would perform only
often.
I don't know why we did it. This is a question we kept asking each other. The local people said, no, yehi karna hai. And we would say, but, and we would do it. And then buffaloes would come, we would all move to the side, buffaloes would go, we would go back to the play. Now, people got back to the play. So there was never a problem. This doesn't mean that we've never actually been, people haven't tried to stop us, they have. They have and they have succeeded, and they have and they have not succeeded, both things have happened. But in terms of a general reception, I find that a lot of people, they connect to very simple things sometimes. So simple things would be, what is the particular incident that we are showing in the play? If that is accurate, if that is capturing something of life, that is something that people connect to. People also connect to interesting verse, provided we sing it well. Otherwise nobody understands what we are saying. But that is something people do connect to. People of course connect to humor, and people connect to good acting. That is something, again, over and over again I have seen that the role may be anything. It could be just, like a cameo role. One guy comes and does something and is not there in every scene. But if it's done well, people remember that. So, acting, good quality acting is something that people recognize, appreciate, and are, willing to watch it again and again.
Now, how I have seen Janam plays, but it's for our audience. How do you all begin?
Depends. It depends where we are. Meaning, if we are going to a completely residential area, or a marketplace, or a completely public area, which is actually public. I mean, even a college is in one sense public, but it's within the college premises.
Yes.
So there the thing changes. But one of the things that we usually do is we stand at a particular place that we decide, and the decision of where to perform is something that I think has now become an act, which we don't consciously realize. And people going here and there start watching what is happening. Why are these people going here? Then they are going there. Then some local organizer, CI2, he says, नहीं comrade, यहाँ नहीं करेंगे, हम वहाँ करेंगे, वहाँ ना खुली जगह है. We'll say yes, but वहाँ से वो होता है. And then is this, what the hell are we talking about? But people in that area, I think, actually we get a little irritated when this delay happens. But again, over the years, I come to see that that's great pre-publicity.
Right.
Because
You start integrating crowd.
Starting something. But one thing does happen, that sometimes our plays are pre-publicized, meaning not by posters or anything, but in that area, especially if it's a residential area, or if it's a factory, or it's a marketplace, 1 or 2 days before that, the local organizer, which usually the CI2, would go and say, that a play is going to happen. So that sort
They
of...
gather.
People don't gather beforehand, and their activists gather. Audiences don't gather, not at all. That has rarely happened. Unless, it's a pre-planned big program. Then people gather. So that's what happens, and we go there, and of course we have a little dhapli, and we say, wow, natak dekho, we do some little juggling. Once we tried something, and it worked quite well. One of our younger actors, he was very wonderful actor with movement. So we created something which was soundless, but a certain beat on the dhapli, where 5 actors would come in, do something, and there was no text, but there was of course a thought text which we were following, and it was to do with working, and that work being trashed by somebody who was more powerful, and the people being lost and then coming together and achieving something. All that very beautifully, and we had worked it out very well. We did that. It worked best when it was a slightly more quiet. By quiet I mean more settled space. There it worked. We've done it, like in a park. It worked very well there. But right at the corner of the road, there was too much traffic. There the play works better. Because there is voice and acting and all that. So this was done very well, and we really should get back to it, because it's something that I thought was very interestingly he had done that. We worked it out quite well, and really worked upon us too. polished it to do it well also. So that's the sort of thing we do, but usually we just speak like that. And before the play, we always speak to the audience. We tell them who we are, why we are here. If we are part of a larger agitation, we mention that. If not, we just tell the play. We say who we are, and that after the play, if they like the play, they should give us donation. And that's how. I mean, it's not a long drawn speech or anything. It's usually 3 or 4 minutes. And we do the play, and after the play, we go back and ask money from people, and people usually give. I mean, till today, a lot of money that Jannatyam Manch gets is, from donations like this, which are after performances. Though the more performances we do out in the open, the more money we get. Of course, when we go to a bank union or a middle class union, we get much more money because nobody gives less than 10, 20, 50, hundreds. These days that's what we get. And if we go to a working class area, nobody gives more than 5 rupees. Sometimes they give 10 rupees. Very often when we say that you can even give 1 rupee, young children, like 10, 12-year-olds, maybe they've got 2 rupees in their hand to buy something, they give 1 rupee, and I think that's wonderful. And then when we tell children that, Acha, now you go home quickly and get 1 rupee from home. You've seen a play, you like it? Yes, go and get. So, some of them come back and give. The point is that if you like something, there's no harm in giving a rupee. We are not asking for much because that's what supports us, as simple as that. We don't get any funding or sponsorship or anything. Donations is what we survive on.
Coming back to the IPTA part of it, now IPTA had this, let's say, a vision or a claim of an organized people theatre movement in India, which did not happen, as we all know, which kind of, it stopped, it started again it stopped, again it started at various places. Now, do you think that Janam has this, if not the same idea of an organized people's theatre movement, somewhere it wants to pull in these kind of strengths and would, I don't know, I'm asking you this because it's for the future generations or the future readers or the future audience. One would want to know that what are we exactly looking at, because the kind of theatre that Janam's been doing for this many years, it's very important, because the issues that are taken up by this theatre, they are very sensitive. I can't call it non-political because they are political issues, absolutely political issues, and they are given a voice, which often lacks in the mainstream politics or the mainstream media. Now, the question was that, do you look at it as an organized movement?
Yeah, you see, when we began doing street theatre, I don't think we really had that in mind because that time we were really working with a particular form and trying to do something in Delhi. Even today, we really feel that we are really a small Delhi-based group. But it's not modesty or anything. It would be stupid not to realize that our work has a certain impact across the country. And yes, the impact was, it hit the headlines when we were attacked and Safdar was killed and so was Ram Bahadur. But even before that we had an impact. I'll give you a small example. I mean, I've quoted this hundreds of times because it's something that it's fascinating and yet very sad. That in the early 80s, I think it was 81 or 82, a progressive writer, Sabyasachi, based in Mathura, he used to bring out a small literary magazine. And he decided that, here is Jannatyam is doing these interesting plays and there were some others like us doing plays, original plays. So he felt that he should make a theatre Visheshata, something like that. And he insisted, got after us and told us, now you give me the script because I can't take it to press with, you people spouting it. So whatever texts we have, put it in order somehow and gave it to him and he printed it and it had a huge circulation in North India. Even today when I go to some small town and some older person, somebody my age, who is a literary person or interested in literature, knows of Sabyasachi and has read those plays. In those days, 7 of our plays or 6 of our plays got like wide circulation, which we couldn't have reached. And thanks to Sabyasachi it did. I mean, there is this story which I'm sure it's not entirely true, I think it is, that in Aligarh Muslim University there was, or maybe it wasn't Aligarh, somewhere else, there was one of these colleges in North India, and they had this All India festival, very often, short play. And so there were people who had, you sign up and all. The first play happened, it was Raja Ka Baja, a Janam play. Super powerful, super successful play. Even today I find people telling me, why don't you do it? Because, you talk about the same issues, but yes, that context has changed. So, we need to bring in a slightly different angle, though the issue still remains. Fees and stuff like that is still remain. Right. So that play happened. And the second play was Raja Ka Baja. So, people laughed, what a joke. Third play, Raja Ka Baja, half the audience walked out. The judges were there. Then fourth, fifth, apparently all the 15 or 17 groups did Raja Ka Baja. Of course, they played to empty houses. And think of the judges. Now, it's a great story, but it's such a sad story that there weren't any peers.
Right.
And that's what I think. But it showed two things, and they all had got it from that same place of Raj. So what I'm saying is that there was an impact. What I remember in the 80s, the single thing that we all talked about was that newer plays need to be written. In 90s, I remember in all the various seminars where I was suddenly invited, and people would of course ask me stupid questions that, so you are carrying on your husband's legacy? I said, no, I'm carrying on nobody's legacy. I am part of a movement which all of us are taking something forward. Let's not reduce it to that. But the thing was that everybody said, what is the challenge? And I really think that the challenge at that time, which continues but not so much, is that new plays should be written. In the mid-90s, there was a lot of interest around street theatre. Before that, it wasn't street theatre, there would be open-air theatre that a lot of Gramsocks would be doing, and not many. But by mid-90s, most of them were doing street theatre. They weren't very good, and many of them were like, either rehashes of what we did, or some play converted into a street play, some idea. Very rarely original ideas coming out. And in those days, I did agree to be the judge, and everywhere I went, I fought and fought. I judged, but I said, let's not have competitions, let's have other things. Of course, nobody listened to me, but at least I said it. And the fact that write your own plays here, if young people don't write their own plays, who else will? I'm not saying I was the only one who said it, many of us said it. And now, certainly in the last 10 years, I don't think that, certainly in Delhi and in some of the other institutions where people go, in North India and elsewhere also, younger people, student people in colleges, they do write their own plays and they are quite serious about it. Sometimes they are over serious about it. Now, competition street plays are a different category. It's being reduced to something else. That's a different matter at the level of the form. It's really become for competition, and it's in fact, but I would say that maybe we haven't intervened much. We've never had the time. I see the problem, but for that problem to be resolved, I need to enter into campus theatre in a big way, and we've not been able to do that. Yes, we've sometimes thought about it, but we just don't have the time. But that's a separate point, but that's definitely there. So, now I lost track of what I was saying, but
we were talking about organizing people's theatre.
Yeah. So I would say, my simple answer to you would be that I think there is a people's theatre movement. It's just not under one umbrella. That's it. The number of people who are engaged in meaningful socio-political theatre, which is not only geared towards getting a CV, and just not that. Even that, frankly, I don't have an issue with. If somebody is doing good theatre and getting a good CV, that's fine. But somebody who is doing socio-political and doing it for something larger than themselves, there are many, many people. A lot of people think that theatre isn't being done. It is being done. Just today, if you see how many plays are happening in Delhi. When I was a young person in college, barely one play happened in 1 week, and that also in Alphabets. And usually by a group from outside Delhi, Bengal usually. Today you have many more things happening. different people. In Delhi itself, there are so many young theatre groups who come and perform in Studio Sat, for example, and they are young people, but they are not necessarily been doing it for 1 month. They've been around for 3, 4, 5 years, maybe not 40 years like we have, but that's a different matter. Also across the country, the number of people who are engaged in theatre in some way or the other, again meaningful theatre, is much more than we think it is. In 1998, we contacted a lot of people who were kind of doing the sort of work we were, meaning not exactly this level of form, but again people who felt an affinity towards IPTA or who were directly from the IPTA. Very often that also. So Samudaya, Chennai Kalekuru, then the Purugamas Kala Sahitya Sangam, the Prajanatya Mandri, the various IPTAs and MP who may not have been but who were independently in touch with us. In UP, many of the IPTAs in Bihar, Prerna, Bengal, IPTA of course, and other groups, Assam, Rajasthan. We contacted many people whom we knew were doing theatre, Disha in Bombay, different people who were doing not necessarily street plays quite like us, but who were doing political theatre, social theatre. We contacted them and we had a kind of a meeting, and we called it All India People's Theatre Activists. It was just a meeting.
So we had, this was when?
1998. And the idea was not it was a 3-day meet, the first time it was done in Delhi, where the thing was very simple, that people just paid, they came on their own and they paid us a small amount to organize the food and all. We were able to get a place free of cost thanks to a trade union, a staying place which was dormitory arrangement. And again, we are pretty clever at getting help from people without actually paying for it. So we were able to do that also. People supported us. It didn't cost very much. And we had this meeting. And essentially it was, the first one was to just be aware of what was happening. So a lot of people, for example, didn't know that in Tripura so much was happening. And at that time, this is 1998, very few people elsewhere in the country knew that. So that was one very important, just the sharing part of it. And it was what in today's world is called network. I don't like that word, but never mind. But yes, that is what we were doing, keeping in touch. It wasn't a skill sharing workshop, and it wasn't a workshop at all. It was a thinking meet, where issues that confront us and what are we doing about it and what do we feel about it. That's what was being talked about. So that's what, there was a little note that the group Janam had written, and which we can share with you if you want, and people had also brought their own thing, and that's how the basic structure was. So every alternate year, because we planned to do it every year and we realized that's too much, it's too much organization, and so every year the following 2 years we did the next year and the next year, and then we realized it's too much, so we did it every other year. We did 7 such meets. So Delhi, Hyderabad, Guwahati, Patna, Eluru, and one, I forget the other 2 places, one in Delhi again and one more which I'm forgetting the place. So there we sort of, the whole thing was, that it was always very difficult to pull it together, meaning it was a lot of, so Janam took the initiative, but it couldn't have been possible without all these people engaged in, and everybody was interested. There was this question of, should we form an organization? Should we form a large umbrella organization like IPTA? And most of us felt, this question came up because it's a question we are often asked also, and we felt that no, what was important was that in our own areas, we continue doing our work, we keep in touch with each other, and in our regions, if we could somehow share skills, for example, or do workshops for each other, and those sorts of things, and do smaller things. The idea really was to continue to respond to the challenges in front today on how to respond to communalism, for example, these sorts of things, and what to do, and not simply, one thing. Today, of course, it's very easy with email and all, you just shoot off a mail, but at that time, how to keep in touch. So all that was being worked out, and the idea really was that we need to be aware of what is happening, and each place try and get newer and newer people. One of the things that we hope to do, and that's something we couldn't do, was that if we could, we in fact took one step towards it, that if we make 4 different zones, so we have the sort of north, south, east, west sort of a thing, and club together some of the larger states. Then say Delhi, Haryana, UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, all of us, we hold a meeting ourselves in which we invite more people, because when you are doing an all India thing, there is also the constraint of space, right? So you can't have such a big space to put up so many people. So if we do that on our own, so so one of the zones did that. There was another idea we had, that if we could go to like a team, go and do somewhere like in Lucknow. We all felt that something needs to be revived there. There was a time when it was a pretty vibrant place for theatre. It wasn't something by the time we were into 2002, 2003, 2004. So what we did was that Prerna, which is from Bihar and from Patna, and Jannatyam, we went there with our contacts, and we sort of did a program there, inviting local people. Problem was we couldn't take it forward, and one of the reasons why we couldn't take it forward really was that we didn't have the time, and neither did Prerna. Today one thing that I really find is something that we have to understand. I think it's a difference that the economy has done. Traditionally, I think, and I don't mean traditionally as in traditional theatre, I mean in the past many years, the backbone of theatre in India has been the so-called amateur groups. IPTA, for example, and its various branches, shades, whether you agree, disagree, you call yourself X, Y or Z, whatever was being done not as a means of livelihood. A lot of people, a lot of groups across the country, even today, don't actually earn money. They may get a particular little amount. I mean, even groups today who get some amount of so-called salary grant, that's only a small part of whatever, I mean, many people in the group have day jobs. So, people like us and people like in Samudaya or in Prerna, they all have day jobs. So there is again limited time. The moment you take up a new venture, you need to give time to it.
Full time.
Yes. So that's, in fact, that I think is a big problem even now, because earlier jobs meant that a lot of people who were in, I hate to say it like this, but in many jobs, okay, I should not name names, but there were many jobs where you just went there and signed and walked out, and you were away and just went back later. Or, I mean, I worked in a school and I never took leave for anything except for plays. And my work in school never suffered because I never took off. But working there meant that I could just leave at 2 o'clock, except on the odd day when I chose to stay. Today in schools in Delhi, you have to stay till 3:30. I mean, work conditions have also changed. So private offices now, it's just impossible. Government offices, a lot of people, public sector, timings have all changed everywhere. So distances have become enormous. So that I think is also a genuine problem. We certainly face it. We have to always juggle much more than we had to juggle earlier with these matters. But this year we have decided, we decided this every year, but we plan to do it that coming year we will either 2016 or very early 17, within that 16-17, we will again redo the All India Meet, because many people call us and tell us that, "Arey yaar, what are you doing about it?" So there is a need. Now what I am saying is that the point is that there is a movement, I think, except that there is no one organization, and I think that's not bad at all.
That's in a way democratic, I think.
In the sense that things are happening and we need to stay connected with each other. That's, I think, the need of the hour, rather than, because I personally feel that moment we make a committee from top, then
imposition starts.
Yes. Then I think it doesn't work quite that way. So I think it's important for more and more people to be engaged in progressive theatre, and even if it is only for part of the time. I mean, so if somebody wants to say that I want to go to Bombay but I want to work 1 year with you, I'd say great. I mean, no problem, because wherever you go after this, you're taking away something of this thought with you. And I think that's important, rather than saying, no, we will not touch you. That's not the attitude. So I think in that sense, there is a lot of theatre happening. A movement gives the impression of something being coordinated and taken forward. No, that is not there. But it is going forward, and I think we need to give a little more time. You see, when it's a trade union, it's a different thing. Like, coming 2nd September, there is a one-day national strike across all trade unions on the current labour reforms that the current Modi government has brought in. Now, it's in response, everybody, all trade unions are against it, and they are all in their own way fighting. So there is a coordinated movement. But I think trade unions function differently, and therefore we need to understand that. But these trade unions wouldn't have survived if there wasn't grassroots trade unions also, work existing. So that's how it has to be, both ways, up and down. I think that an all India body like that, right now, I still think it's premature in the field of culture. But to be aware of each other, to be in touch with each other, I think that is important.
Now, how does Jananatya Manch function? As in, would you be able to give us the idea?
Very briefly, Jananatya Manch is a completely independent, autonomous, and yet fiercely partisan towards working people and their issues and movements. And we pride our independence, and we are very conscious of it. At the same time, as I said, we also link up to other movements, but that's our choice. As an organization, we are registered, but that's only the legal part of it. We have a small team of what we call the executive committee. It's a big word, but it's really a small team who are it's a kind of a collective collaborative leadership. So it isn't one person, but a group of 7 people, which sometimes change. I mean, every year there is an annual general body meeting, and we sort of sometimes re-elect and sometimes newer people come in. It varies over the year. But the idea really is that the day-to-day functioning is organized, is taken care of by this team of 7 people. But in anything that we do, naturally only these 7 people are not involved. Other people from the group are also involved in. The Jananatya Manch in one sense has a very loose membership, in the sense that there are many people who are not there every day and not there in everything that we do. So there are many people, or rather some people, who come in for some things. There are some people who come in only sometimes, say the summer ones, when they are they're more free from work. So that's the sort of thing that over the years we've realized it makes it more flexible and open, and therefore more amorphous. So it's very hard to say that somebody who was 2 years ago with us there in every show, and today suddenly because of a job reason cannot even come to a meeting or come to a performance or a rehearsal. Is that person a member? I would say yes, because I'm hoping that a few months later that person would be able to. So that's the thing. I mean, that's how we function. Decisions are rarely taken by individuals, because we have a certain way of functioning, and over the years we sort of discuss. We have regular meetings. The executive committee, or EC as it's called, meets pretty regularly, and we are on the phone. So if, let us say, something has happened and we need to go where we can't have a meeting, that's fine. We just talk on the phone and go ahead and do it. That's what we do. The purpose is also that every year newer and younger people should be part of this collective leadership, and different people, so that it again involves more and more people. That's really how it is.
Now, again, going further back, could you just recollect the incidents that are related with this phenomenal production, Halla?
Yeah, in 1988, in the month of, latter half of 1988, I think in June or July, June actually, we started work on a proscenium play, and that's when Safdar thought that we must get somebody, who knew our work, who knew us, and would also have something to offer, and Habib Tanvir was brought in. And that was great, because he till the day he died, he continued to be a kind of a mentor for us, and did more production subsequently. In doing that new production, which was Motiram Ka Satyagraha, a lot of younger people also had joined in, and the previous year also, in 87, a bunch of youngsters had joined in. At that time itself, Sabda had started thinking that, we need to be more organized about our organization, which we weren't till then. Now we are much more organized, and that these younger people should be in the EC, because the guys were the guys of the future, guys and gals both. So that's when we had a meeting and had this EC and a bunch of very young people, and Sabda was there, and another slightly older person was there. In November, there was going to be this 7-day industrial strike, about which of course we got to know from our CI2 comrades, and we all felt, Sabda had initiated that thought, but we all agreed that yes, we have to go do a show. It was a big thing, a 7-day industrial strike called by the CI2, issues were there. We spoke to a number of the CI2 comrades to get an idea. The play was partly written, partly improvised, partly changed on the floor. It was a mix of both. And the idea really was to draw in newer people into actually to help in direction, to help in writing. That was also Sabda's long-term view, I guess, because he often talked about that, we need to think of, we need to draw in that person has a skill in writing, let's give him, this scene should be written by him, and so on and so forth. So it was very intense at that time, internally in the organization also. And this play called Chakka Jam was made, which was clearly, it was a hilarious comedy at one level, but also a very powerful play, because one of the lines got repeated in many shows. There is this worker and worker who is, and his beloved, worker wants to marry, she's also a worker, so he wants to marry her, he goes to the parents, and something happens, he says, don't be silly, you're a silly worker. So he says, well, there's a strike going to happen now, there's okay. Come and ask for my daughter's hand after the strike. Okay, so and he, at the end of it, he says that jute maru, 567, because that was the demand at that time. So, not the demand, that was the amount that was being got. Demand was 1050 for minimum wage. So, those sorts of things were happening. After the strike, which was like a huge success, the play had to be continued, because naturally everything is not achieved after a strike, and the CI2 did want us to do the play with certain changes in kind of post-strike scenario. So, which structurally was very minor change happened, and one new scene was added because it was after the strike, and that we called Halla Bol, and it was a super success, the play. And we had beginning 18 December for about 3 weeks, we had a series of shows planned, like today here, tomorrow there, day after there. So on 31st December, for example, we were performing in Okhla Industrial Area, and the following day we had to go to Jhandapur, which was a Sunday. We went there, we were attacked, Sabda was killed, so was Ram Bahadur. And why were we attacked? We were attacked not because they had seen the play, because I'm sure if they had seen the play, they would have laughed. The scene that they saw was happening was a complete, it was a love scene. Much, Bollywood style dancing and running around trees. But because we were performing for the CI2, it was as simple as that. And in this, that's what happened. So the play was very powerful also because I think Chakka Jam was a very powerful play, and because of the strike that happened, the scene that was added in particular was a scene which moved from metaphor to reality, from the actor to the inner voice to the character of the worker. It was really a very interesting piece that had been sort of created. The rest of the scenes were similar between the two plays, except that everything was after the strike, so the tense changed. But this one scene was very powerful, and I think that it made its point, and it not only enthused the workers and the movement, but it also gave a lot of food for thought, because none of the characters there were cardboard characters who agreed with everything, but there was within the play debate also. So that's what was actually very interesting, because suddenly people saw, he's got a point, but then how does he change his thought? That is also important. So So that's what it was.
It's a completely different question. Is, say, when you have younger people coming in, Janam, and you have certain issue-based plays going on. Now, not that whoever is coming in is very politically conscious or is very open to the issue that you're dealing with. Let's say if it is about some bill, about some, as you said, about some strike or the demands of the strike, not that it is known to the actor who is acting, right? So, is it a part of the practice that you educate this actor before, or not even just to inform this actor as to what it is, or have a discussion about?
Yeah, there is no formal education, but yes, there is a process.
Right.
And if a new play is being made on, let us say, the PDS, public distribution system, a lot of people don't even know what it's about. That's right. So in any case, before we make a play, there is a lot of discussion and reading up, and that reading up is of everybody who is in the group at that time, by everybody.
Right.
So if whether I know a lot or I don't know a lot, that's what the play is going to be about. Right. So in that, naturally my thought also comes in. And what has happened is that a lot of people, especially younger, newer people, bring in specific examples of their experience to such plays, which is to do with the ration card, because that's what they're dealing with. So that's in fact quite helpful. Now, so you see, if somebody, suppose we are doing a play against communalism, naturally somebody who is pro-communalism is hardly likely to work on that play.
So you have had this experience also?
Such people don't come to us.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
They don't come to us. But this is not to say that we have not had questions on caste, for example. That doesn't mean that the people who have discussed or debated with us are casteist. No. But there are questions, and I think those questions should be talked about, and we have talked about. That's the important thing. So somehow people are happy to discuss and debate and be part of the play. I don't envisage somebody coming and doing a play who thinks that all women should be tortured and does a play on the question, on any aspect of a woman's life. I don't think such a play would be comfortable unless they cover it up. I don't think so. But that doesn't mean that they are not patriarchal. Because I think a lot of us, men and women, are sometimes patriarchal without realizing it. And maybe doing that process is sometimes very useful. And it is. That I have seen. On the question of gender, I have seen that happen. That when the play is in progress, when things are happening, then there is a self-learning involved also. And on gender, but even on other things. I mean, I may not communal, but I may not have even thought about the whole thing. So when I am making a play and I am part of a play, then somewhere I have to also understand what I am doing. So yes, but it is not a formal education like that.
I mean,
and whatever it is, whether there are discussions or readings, everybody does that. So there is no, it's not that I am above it or you are above it. And we also have people come and talk to us. When especially we are doing plays on issues like this. It's important. Whether it's a trade union person coming in or a historian talking to us or anybody, talk outside experts coming and talking, having a discussion with us is something we found very useful.
What are the forthcoming plays that Janam is?
Very hard to say because we don't decide a play quite beforehand like that. But a forthcoming program that is going to happen is a collaboration between Janam and the Freedom Theatre of Palestine. And that's going to be a longish thing because already we've sort of worked out and planned certain things. 2 people from the Freedom Theatre will be coming in. 3 people came earlier in the year. Then one of our group members visited them for about a couple of weeks and was part of that. And now 2 people will be coming in August, and then the students of the Freedom Theatre School, they will be coming along with Janam. There will be an actual joint play happening, and we will be touring many cities of the country where we hope to draw in other artists of different fields. So Anurupa, for example, will definitely be part of the tour, doing her puppetry, and other people chipping in, doing things. That's in terms of a big program that's happening, and to make a play at the end of it. But one of the other things that we are also sort of looking forward to is to again have this All India meeting going in a big way, and to be able to do different things to equip ourselves by way of workshopping and such things. In August we are having a series of talks called the GPD Under 50 Talks, which is something, again, the talks that we earlier used to have only for us, we are now in a position to open it up to the public because of the space that we have called Studio Saptar. In fact, that is one of our very important part of our future work. Jannatyam Manch bought this space only 3 years ago, and that's when we realized that we need to have a separate body also managing it, which we have, but a lot of us also help out doing things. So this is a Jannatyam Manch project is a wrong word. It's part of Jannatyam Manch, something that we do. We're the ones who established it, the Studio Saptar, and lot of things happen here. What happens here we don't do. Naturally, that's the whole point, that other people come in and do things, and to create this space of the bookshop, which is in coordination with the Leftward publishers and the Mayday Cafe, to see it as a kind of a space where there is left space, so to speak, for left adda, and place where people can come and read books, buy books, have coffee, watch theatre, do theatre and other artworks. But theatre is still the most important thing that happens here.
Last but not least, in an urban city space, when spaces are shrinking for performance, you know what I mean, not in terms of just development, but in terms of political shrinking also, when voices are being silenced intentionally now in today's India. But at the same time, there are alternative voices that are being heard also, that are being, there are voices of resistance that are rising from various nooks and corners of the country. How do you think, or how important do you think is the time today for an organization like Jannatyam Manch, who has always been in the forefront of such, giving voice to such expressions? So how important do you think that this shrinkage or this political, let's say, eating up of spaces or eating up of voices, how do you see it?
There are many aspects to it actually. You see, at one level, yes, there are physical being, I don't mean just space in physical terms, but there is a shrinkage.
Okay.
But more than shrinkage, there's an attack. And whenever there is an attack, in this slightly limping democracy of ours and in our country, I think there is a resistance to it which is equally there. The point is that the resistance has to spread. So while dissenting voices are being curbed, but new dissenting voices are also coming up. So, it's both the things are happening. And I think that's the times that we live in. That it's important to, while it's true that there is curbing, absolutely, and there's curbing in different ways. You see, sometimes curbing is physical, open. Okay, you shut up. The moment you say that, 20 other voices they will say, we won't shut up. So that is also happening, but there is also an indirect curbing. So quietly, people are being transferred from here and there in many government agencies and non-government agencies also replaced, because they are doing good work, because they are doing, just ordinary progressive work, which they should be doing. Not even, political work like that. But even that is being seen as a threat. So they are being, but nobody is keeping quiet. Everybody work is, people are still recognizing that. So there is that behind the scenes thing. There is also more, planned attack on people. But there is a worse kind of curbing that I think is also happening, and that's what is voluntary silence. Will it make a difference?
Right.
And I think that's the most dangerous part. because that's coming from within this space of dissent. If I say that, will it make a difference? I should be saying, yes, of course it will make a difference. Let's get out and do something. Whatever. It doesn't have to be, something big. It could be something small, but you have to do. But I actually do see that there are a lot of people who are also not keeping quiet. It's not organized. It's not one umbrella body, but there are many more people. And I think that's great. That's really what is the hope.
It was fantastic talking to you,
Thank you.
Manojshri. It was an experience and a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.